The galaxy held its breath. Two vast fleets clashed endlessly around the star system Valdris, a cluster of planets rich with rare minerals and strategic importance. The Catheri and the Vrixen had been at war for generations, neither willing to yield. Their warships, hundreds strong on each side, painted the void with blasts of plasma and ripples of energy shields in the command bridge of the Cathari flagship. Admiral Voss stared at the tactical displays. His face was etched with fatigue and frustration. "Status report," he barked, voice low but urgent. "We've taken heavy losses in the southern sector," his first officer replied. "Enemy reinforcements are arriving from the Vrixen homeworld. Our position is tenuous." Voss clenched his jaw. "We cannot retreat. The Council demands we hold Valdris at all costs." Meanwhile, in the Vrixen fleet, Commander Yao's eyes scanned the endless streams of data flowing across her console. "Our fleet is sustaining damage," she noted quietly. "But the Cathari defenses are stretched thin. If we push now, we could break their lines." Behind her, the Vrixen War Council debated fiercely. "We risk everything on this assault," one elder warned. "But the prize is too valuable to ignore." Across the battlefield, starships twisted and darted like deadly predators, weaving between explosions and debris. Both sides had grown skilled at this brutal dance of war, but the battle had reached a grinding halt. Neither fleet could claim decisive victory. Suddenly, sensors aboard both fleets registered an unfamiliar object. A single ship, small and sleek compared to the massive warships around it, slipped through the battle zone with a calm precision that seemed almost deliberate. The Cathari tactical officer was the first to notice. "Captain, an unknown vessel." Entering the system, the Vrixen commander's gaze sharpened. "Scan it immediately. Identify and classify." The strange ship made no hostile moves. Its hull reflected starlight, but showed no markings or insignia from known galactic powers. Admiral Voss tapped the communication panel. "Open a channel. Let's hear what this ship wants." A crackling burst of static was followed by a clear voice, calm, confident, distinctly human. "This is the warship Resolute of the United Earth Coalition. We do not come as combatants. We offer a chance to end this war." The room fell silent. The concept of humans had been a curiosity for years, whispered about in distant systems, but never confirmed firsthand. Now, a human ship stood amid two warring fleets, proposing peace. Commander Yao exchanged a glance with her officers. What right do they have to interfere? But their technology signature is unlike anything we have seen. We must proceed carefully. The Cathari admiral frowned. They are a wild card. But this war has drained us. Perhaps hearing them out is wiser than risking further losses. The Resolute maneuvered closer, its smooth hull gleaming beneath the distant sun. Its captain appeared on the viewscreen, a woman with steely eyes and a calm demeanor. "I am Captain Elena Markov. We have studied your conflict and the cost it has brought. I offer a simple choice. Lay down your weapons and talk. End this war before more lives are lost." Voss leaned forward, skepticism clear in his voice. "And what makes you think one ship can stop centuries of hatred?" Markov smiled faintly. "I don't expect to do it alone. But sometimes one decision can change everything." As the fleets hesitated, preparing for another devastating clash, the Resolute slipped between them, calm and unthreatening. But the war would no longer be the same. In the vast darkness of space, a single human ship had arrived, and with it, a spark of hope. The fleets remained locked in uneasy silence as the Resolute hovered between them, a lone beacon. In the chaos of war, Captain Elena Markov's steady gaze held firm as her ship's sensors scanned the two massive armadas. Neither side could ignore the presence of this unexpected visitor in the Cathari flagship. Admiral Voss paced the bridge, his mind racing. "What are their intentions?" he muttered. "Is this a trick? An ambush?" His first officer shook. His head, Captain Markov's message was clear. They propose peace. But can one ship really change the tide of this conflict? Commander Yal aboard the Vrixen flagship shared the concern. "We have never encountered humans before." There. Technology's signature is unfamiliar, advanced, yes, but unpredictable. Despite their doubts, the prolonged war had exhausted both sides. The promise of an alternative was tempting, if only to avoid another wave of destruction. "Open a channel," Yal ordered. "We will hear what this human has to say." The view screen on the Resolute flickered and Captain Markov's image appeared once more. "Thank you. I understand your skepticism. Centuries of conflict have hardened minds. But consider this. How many more lives must be lost before peace becomes the only option?" Her words carried weight. There was a quiet in the vastness of space, a moment where the sounds of distant battles seemed distant. As if waiting for a new path, Voss leaned closer to his console, reviewing the tactical maps. Their ship is small, yes, but highly maneuverable. Their weapon systems, different from ours. Their sensors seem capable of detecting vulnerabilities we haven't seen before. Yal nodded. Their proposal might be our best chance, but we cannot simply trust without assurance. Perhaps a demonstration. Captain Markov anticipated this. "I understand your caution. I propose a ceasefire, temporary and limited. Show you our intentions, not with words alone, but with actions. If you refuse, the battle will continue and countless more will perish." The tension was palpable. Across both fleets, captains exchanged uneasy glances. The war had grown costly, but pride and fear of betrayal ran deep. Admiral Voss made a decision. "Very well. We accept the ceasefire on the condition that no hostile action is taken during the demonstration." Yal agreed as well. "For the sake of our people, we will hold fire." The Resolute's captain acknowledged the agreement with a nod. "Thank you. You will see that humanity values precision and restraint. Violence is never the first choice, but when necessary, it is executed with purpose." As communications quieted, the human ship powered up its systems. What came next would surprise everyone. Without warning, the Resolute surged forward, weaving gracefully through the battlefield. Its weapons emitted a focused beam of energy, swift, controlled, and devastatingly precise. The beam struck a heavily armed Cathari destroyer, disabling its primary weapons array in an instant. The ship's engines remained intact, and no crew were harmed. The attack was surgical. Silence fell. Admiral Voss stared at the screen, stunned. They struck without killing, without destruction. How is this possible? Commander Yal was equally astonished, a display of power, but with mercy. An invitation, not a threat. The other fleet commanders watched, their initial fear giving way to curiosity and respect. The demonstration had been clear. The Resolute was not here to conquer or destroy. It was here to end the conflict through superior strategy and a different kind of strength. Captain Markov's voice broke the silence. "This is what we can achieve together: precision, control, and above all, the choice to protect life. I ask you again, will you lay down your arms and speak, or will you continue this endless war?" Minutes passed, stretching like hours. Then, slowly, signals came in. The Vrixen flagship lowered shields. The Cathari fleet followed. The war that had threatened to consume them all had entered an unexpected pause, and at the heart of it all stood one human ship, the Resolute, ready to change everything. The silence was almost deafening as the two alien fleets hovered in place, shields lowered and weapons dormant. For the first time in generations, the war that had ravaged star systems and shattered civilizations was poised on a fragile edge. Of peace, on the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Alina Markov observed the standoff with steady eyes. Keep all sensors active. Any sign of aggression will end this ceasefire immediately. Her crew worked with quiet efficiency, monitoring both fleets closely. The human ship's technology was unmatched. Its sensors could detect subtle fluctuations in shield energy, engine pulses, and even nervous communications chatter. Humanity's edge was in information and precision, honed through centuries of surviving conflicts, both global and personal. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, alien commanders debated fiercely. Some saw the ceasefire as an opportunity to rebuild, to negotiate a future free from endless bloodshed. Others remained suspicious, unwilling to trust a species they barely understood, wary of humanity's strange technology. Commander Yao, the Vrixen fleet leader, paced in her command room. "They are unlike any enemy we have faced," she said, her voice thoughtful. "Their weapons do not kill recklessly, but they can disable instantly. This is a new kind of power." Admiral Voss, aboard the Cathari flagship, nodded slowly. "If humanity can fight with such precision, what does that mean for us? Are we ready to accept peace on their terms, or will we cling to the past?" Tensions ran high beneath the fragile calm. Neither fleet wanted to be the first to break the ceasefire. Yet fear simmered in every command deck. Suddenly, the silence shattered not by violence, but by a calculated display of force. The Resolute accelerated smoothly toward the heart of the Cathari fleet, weaving past warships with deft agility. Its sensors locked onto a heavily fortified Cathari dreadnought, the nerve center of their battle coordination. Without warning, a concentrated pulse of energy erupted from the human ship, striking the dreadnought's command systems with pinpoint accuracy. Systems flickered and alarms blared, but the dreadnought's hull remained intact. No crew were harmed. The Cathari fleet froze, astonished at the attack's surgical precision. The dreadnought was crippled, but not destroyed, silenced without bloodshed. Captain Markov's voice echoed across open channels. "This is a demonstration of our capabilities and our restraint. We have the power to end this war swiftly. Peace and no more need be lost." The unexpected strike sent ripples through both fleets. Alien commanders began to realize that humanity's power lay not only in firepower, but in control, in making each shot count without unnecessary destruction. Commander Yal spoke quietly to her officers. "This is not mere technology. Strategy, discipline, and mercy combined. We must reconsider." Admiral Voss responded with a rare smile. "Perhaps this is the way forward, through strength tempered by wisdom." For a moment, the war seemed to hold its breath. On the Resolute, Captain Markov allowed herself a brief nod of satisfaction. This was more than a show of force, was a message that humanity's arrival had changed the rules of engagement forever. The alien fleets, shaken and awed, sent new messages to the human ship: questions, proposals, cautious overtures. "We do not seek to conquer," Markov assured them. "We offer a chance for both sides to rebuild, to learn from each other. The galaxy need not be torn apart by endless war." Slowly, channels opened wider. Diplomatic talks began, carried across star systems that had long known only the sounds of battle. Yet even as peace seemed within reach, Captain Markov knew the road ahead would not be easy. Old grudges died hard, and not all factions welcomed humanity's interference. Still, the lesson was clear. One human ship, wielding precision and purpose, had changed the course of history. The galaxy had been reminded that power need not be loud to be decisive. The warships held position, weapons still silent, as the first steps toward peace took shape beneath the distant stars. The fragile ceasefire held, the stars above the war-torn Valdra's system shone quietly, as if bearing witness to a new chapter in the galaxy's history. For the first time in generations, the combatants paused not to reload weapons or issue commands for attack, but to listen. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Alina Markov reviewed communications flowing in from the alien fleets. Messages, laden with curiosity, suspicion, and hope, poured through the open channels. Delegations requested talks, questions about humanity's past, their motivations, their future intentions. Markov turned to her communications officer. Arrange a conference. Invite the commanders. It's time we talked face-to-face, figuratively speaking. Within hours, the first diplomatic meeting was underway. The representatives from the Cathari and Vrixen fleets appeared as holographic projections, each commanding and cautious. Captain Markov stood between them, calm and resolute. The endless cycle of war has cost your peoples dearly, she began. I know what it means to fight and lose, to survive and rebuild. Humanity's history is marked by conflict, but also by an unyielding desire to find peace. I come not as a conqueror, but as a messenger. The Cathari admiral leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. Your actions have been unexpected. We prepared for destruction, yet found mercy. What drives your restraint? Markov smiled slightly. Because victory at the cost of everything is no victory at all. We believe in strength, yes, but strength guided by wisdom and compassion. We fight to protect, not to dominate. The Vrixen commander nodded in agreement. If this is true, then why intervene now? Why risk a single ship in the heart of a war that has defined our generations? Because sometimes the smallest act can ignite the greatest change, Markov replied. Our technology and experience are tools, not weapons to destroy, but instruments to rebuild. We've seen what endless war does to civilizations. We offer a way out. The alien leaders exchanged looks. For the first time, the possibility of peace seemed real rather than impossible. Behind the scenes, the crews of the alien fleets monitored the talks with a mixture of skepticism and wonder. Among their ranks, stories began to spread about humanity's reputation, a species known for resilience, innovation, and an uncanny ability to unite disparate factions. As the conference progressed, deep questions emerged. What was humanity's true agenda? How could one ship wield such influence? Was this the beginning of a galactic alliance or a new form of control? Captain Markov answered each with honesty. Our goal is coexistence, to share knowledge and learn from one another, to prevent the kind of destruction that no species can afford. Still, old wounds ran deep. Some factions within both fleets opposed peace, fearing loss of power or cultural identity. These voices whispered warnings and plotted. Behind closed doors, the Resolute sensors detected subtle movements, warships repositioning, increased encrypted communications. The threat of betrayal loomed. Markov addressed her crew. Stay vigilant. Diplomacy requires courage, but we must be prepared for those who reject it. Meanwhile, the alien commanders faced their own challenges. Trust was fragile, and the fear of deception hung over every word. Yet, slowly, barriers began to break down. Shared histories and common desires surfaced. The futility of endless war became impossible to ignore. In a bold gesture, the Cathari admiral proposed a joint mission, a survey of nearby star systems to assess resources and threats, conducted by both fleets under human guidance. The Vrixen commander added, if this succeeds, may prove that cooperation is not just possible, but necessary. Captain Markov agreed. Together, we can build a future where strength is measured not by destruction, but by creation. As the meeting concluded, a new sense of purpose spread through the warships. The battle lines had faded, not erased, but transformed into something stronger. Hope. The galaxy watched, waiting to see if one human ship's bold arrival would mark the beginning of peace, or the prelude to new conflict. But for now, in the quiet void, A fragile peace held. The mood aboard the Resolute was tense but hopeful. After days of careful dialogue and cautious truce, Captain Alina Markov prepared to lead the first joint mission and exploratory survey to map nearby star systems and identify resources critical for both the Cathari and Vrixen fleets in the war-torn Valdris system. Once a battleground, the gathering fleets now moved with purpose. Their warships aligned under a tentative banner of cooperation. The alliance was fragile, built on mutual necessity rather than genuine trust. But it was a start. Admiral Voss and Commander Yal met for the first time aboard the human ship, their eyes revealing both skepticism and the faintest glimmer of respect. The three leaders understood the gravity of the moment. If this mission succeeded, it could redefine the future of their civilizations. Markov addressed them directly. This is more than a survey. It's a test of trust, of collaboration, of the possibility that old enemies can become partners. Admiral Voss nodded slowly. We've fought too long. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new chapter. Commander Yal's voice was steady. We will follow your lead, Captain, but know that many in our fleets remain wary. The mission began with a series of coordinated scans and remote probes. The star systems surrounding Valdris were rich with minerals and energy sources, many previously unknown. Both fleets needed these resources desperately, all not only to rebuild but to fuel a future where survival was no longer guaranteed by firepower alone. As the crews worked side by side, sharing knowledge and techniques, barriers began to crumble. Human engineers introduced advanced methods of resource extraction, efficient energy management, and ship repair technologies that astonished their alien counterparts. The Vrixen technicians marveled at the human ability to innovate rapidly under pressure, while the Cathari crews admired the humans' focus on precision and adaptability. Yet, even amid progress, tensions simmered. Old rivalries flared in whispered conversations, and sabotage attempts were narrowly prevented by vigilant watch teams. One evening, as the mission camped near a vibrant star cluster, an explosion rocked a resource station. Alarms blared, and crews scrambled to contain the damage. Captain Markov was quick to respond. We must investigate who is behind this. If we allow fear and suspicion to undermine us now, the war will never end. Admiral Voss suggested. It could be rogue elements opposed to PC through within the Cathari or Vrixen ranks. Commander Yal added, or a third party hoping to see both sides destroy each other. The investigation revealed evidence of covert sabotage by extremists from both sides. Determined to reignite the conflict, the leaders convened a tense council, facing the harsh reality that peace was not guaranteed. We must root out these threats, Markov insisted, and reinforce our commitment to unity. The council agreed on joint patrols and shared intelligence, a significant step toward trust despite lingering doubts. Throughout the mission, Captain Markov's leadership was a steady anchor. She balanced firm resolve with empathy. Understanding that peace required more than treaties, it demanded patience, vigilance, and courage. As weeks passed, the joint fleet mapped new star systems, discovered previously hidden resources, and even made contact with neutral alien species curious about this unprecedented alliance. News of the human-led peace mission spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring others to reconsider the endless cycle of war. Yet, in the quiet moments aboard the Resolute, Markov knew the true battle was far from over. She often gazed out at the vastness of space, pondering the delicate balance between hope and conflict. One thing was clear. The arrival of a single human ship had ignited a spark, one that might yet illuminate the galaxy's darkest corners. And as long as that spark burned, peace remained within reach. Despite the cautious optimism aboard the combined fleet, Captain Alina Markov knew the uneasy peace was fragile. The sabotage at the resource station was a stark reminder that not everyone embraced the possibility of cooperation beneath the surface of diplomacy and shared missions. Shadows stirred dissent and defiance that threatened to unravel everything. Late one cycle, as the Resolute orbited a shimmering gas giant, Markov reviewed reports from her intelligence officers. Communications intercepted hinted at secret meetings among factions opposed to the truce, both Cathari and Vrixen radicals determined to reignite the war. Her COM officer, Lieutenant Torres, leaned in with concern. "Captain, our sensors picked up unusual activity on the outer rim of the Valdris system. Multiple small ships moving covertly. It matches patterns we've seen in previous attacks." Markov's expression hardened. "Prepare a reconnaissance team. I want eyes on those ships before they can strike." Meanwhile, within the alien fleets, tensions simmered openly. In the Cathari command chambers, Admiral Voss faced opposition from Warhawks who saw the truce as weakness. "How can we trust the humans?" one officer spat. "Their technology is alien to us. Their mercy is a trap. They seek to control, not to help." Voss countered firmly. "We have no choice but to try. Our homeworlds bleed from this war. If we do not embrace change, we will be consumed." On the Vrixen flagship, Commander Yal dealt with similar dissent. Some of her own officers whispered of striking first. To prevent humanity's influence from growing, patience, she reminded them. Peace is our only hope. Our enemy is not humanity, but the cycle of endless violence. Back aboard the Resolute, Markov authorized a covert surveillance mission. A small team of elite operatives boarded sleek scout vessels and slipped through the shadowed regions of space. Tracking the suspicious ships days later, the reconnaissance team returned with disturbing news. The ships belonged to an insurgent alliance, a coalition of extremist cells from both the Cathari and Vrixen factions. Their goal was clear: to sabotage the peace process by any means necessary. Markov convened a council with Voss and Yao. "These radicals do not represent your fleets or ours," she said. "But they have the power to undo all we have built. We must act decisively, together." Admiral Voss nodded grimly. "Agreed. They threaten us all." Commander Yao's voice was steady. "This is our moment to prove that unity can overcome hatred." The three leaders coordinated a swift joint operation. Strike teams were deployed to intercept and dismantle the insurgent cells before they could launch attacks. The missions were dangerous and delicate, avoiding civilian casualties, gathering intelligence, and outmaneuvering foes who knew the terrain well. Trust between the Allied forces was tested, but the shared goal strengthened their resolve as the operations unfolded. Captain Markov maintained a steady presence. She knew the fight against hatred was not just about technology or tactics, it was about winning hearts and minds. In the midst of the turmoil, Markov received a transmission from an unexpected source, a neutral alien ambassador intrigued by humanity's role in the conflict. "We observe your efforts with interest," the ambassador said. "Your presence has altered the balance. Should you succeed, it may inspire others beyond this system." Markov responded with measured hope. "That is our goal, not to impose, but to inspire change." Weeks passed, and the insurgent threat was gradually diminished. The joint fleet's actions disrupted plans for renewed conflict, buying precious time for diplomacy to deepen. However, the cost was high. Skirmishes left scars on all sides, and trust remained fragile. The radicals, though weakened, had not vanished entirely. As the Resolute prepared for another diplomatic summit, Captain Markov reflected on the complexity of peace. It was not a simple ceasefire, but a journey through suspicion, fear, and hope. She looked out at the stars, understanding that the real battle was far from over, but so long as humanity stood ready to lead with strength and compassion. There was a chance the galaxy's future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The arrival of a single human ship had forever changed the course of history. The diplomatic summit convened aboard the Resolute was unlike any meeting in the galaxy's recent history. Representatives from the Cathari, Vrixen, and human fleets gathered in a large chamber, the room pulsing with anticipation and guarded hope. Captain Alina Markov stood at the center, the weight of leadership pressing heavily on her shoulders. The scars of conflict still lingered, visibly ships repaired from recent skirmishes, exhausted crews and leaders burdened by loss. Yet despite the wounds, the shared goal was clear: forge a lasting peace that could withstand the shadows. Still lurking in the galaxy, Admiral Voss was the first to speak. His voice was measured but resolute. The cost of war has been more than we can bear. This summit must produce a framework that prevents a return to the old ways. Commander Yal nodded in agreement. We have seen the dangers of division. Together, we must create a system of cooperation, shared resources, joint defense, and mutual respect. Markov listened, then presented humanity's proposal: a galactic alliance founded on transparency, collective security, and technological exchange. It was ambitious, a vision of unity across species and cultures. The room was silent as the representatives absorbed the plan. The concept of a united federation was foreign and frightening to many, but the promise of peace and prosperity was undeniable. Still, not all voices were supportive. From the back of the chamber, a hardened Cathari warlord stood. You speak of peace, but what guarantees do we have? How do we prevent betrayal? Trust is earned through strength, not words. A cough met his gaze calmly. Strength without compassion leads only to ruin. Our demonstration precision strikes without unnecessary bloodshed showed that power can be wielded responsibly. Trust grows from actions, not fear. The warlord considered her words, then sat down slowly, the tension easing slightly. Discussions stretched long into the cycle, negotiations punctuated by moments of tension and breakthrough. The leaders drafted treaties, established councils, and agreed on protocols for communication and conflict resolution. As talks progressed, Captain Markov found herself reflecting on how far they had come, from a single decisive strike that halted a battle to a vision that could reshape the galaxy's future. Yet, peace demanded sacrifices. During a recess, Markov confided in Admiral Voss. We've made progress, but I fear the cost of lives, trust, and the willingness to change. Peace is a fragile thing. Voss nodded. It is. But every step forward strengthens it. Your presence here has been the catalyst we needed. Suddenly, an alert interrupted their conversation. A distant distress signal pulsed through the fleets. Communications network: a civilian colony under attack from unknown raiders. Without hesitation, Markov ordered a response. Prepare ships for immediate deployment. Protect the colony at all costs. The alliance sprang into action. Human, Cathari, and Vrixen warships formed a protective cordon around the colony, pushing back the raiders with coordinated precision. The battle was swift but fierce. The raiders, disorganized and desperate, were no match for the combined fleet's strength and unity. After the dust settled, survivors thanked the fleet's defenders. The incident served as a stark reminder. The galaxy remained dangerous, and the Alliance's mission was far from complete. Back aboard the Resolute, Markov addressed her crew. Today, we saved lives not just with weapons, but with unity. This is the future we fight for. As the summit reconvened, the attack renewed the leaders' resolve. The Alliance was no longer just a hopeful idea, was a necessary shield. Against chaos, the day closed with the signing of the Valdris Accords, an agreement to form a galactic coalition dedicated to peace, security, and shared progress. Captain, Alina Markov watched as representatives signed the treaty, aware that history was being made. She thought of the countless sacrifices and the long road ahead. But for the first time in generations, hope outweighed fear. One human ship had entered the battle, ended it in an instant, and sparked a movement that could transform the galaxy. The price of peace was high, but it was a price worth paying. The Valdris system shimmered beneath a rising star, its battered worlds now quiet after decades of war. The Valdris Accords had been signed, a beacon of hope for a galaxy long scarred by conflict. Yet, as Captain Alina Markov stood on the bridge of the Resolute, she knew the journey was far from over. Peace was fragile as threads, easily unraveled by fear, suspicion, or ambition. But in the weeks following the summit, the alliance's strength grew. Trade routes opened, communication lines thrummed with activity, and joint patrols ensured safety in once hostile sectors. Markov's gaze drifted to the stars beyond the viewport. The same stars she had once seen as battlegrounds, now gleaming as symbols of possibility. The alien commanders, Admiral Voss and Commander Yahl, stood beside her, their expressions reflecting cautious optimism. "We've accomplished much," Voss said quietly, "but old wounds remain. There will always be those who resist change." Yahl nodded. "True. Yet the Alliance offers a future worth defending. We must nurture it with patience and vigilance." Suddenly, a transmission interrupted their quiet reflection. It was from the galaxy's neutral council ambassadors from countless species intrigued by the Alliance's success and eager to participate. "The message is clear," Markov said. "The galaxy is watching. Our actions ripple far beyond Valdris." In response, the Alliance extended invitations, welcoming other civilizations to join the coalition. The hope was contagious. Species once wary began to envision a new era of cooperation. Back on the Resolute, Captain Markov held a crew meeting. "Our mission has evolved," she told them. "We are no longer just warriors or diplomats, we are pioneers of peace. Every step forward shapes the galaxy's future." The crew exchanged determined glances, ready to meet the challenges ahead. But even as progress continued, shadows lingered. Intelligence reports warned of insurgent pockets still operating in remote regions, intent on disrupting the fragile peace. Markov authorized targeted missions to root out these threats, balancing strength with mercy to avoid fueling further resentment. Amidst this vigilance, a moment of celebration arrived. The Alliance organized a festival on Valdris Prime, where representatives shared cultures, technology, and stories, a testament to unity born from adversity. Captain Markov watched as alien children laughed and played alongside human youth. A sight she had never imagined possible years before. It was a reminder of what they fought for, not just survival, but a shared future filled with hope. As the festival's lights twinkled beneath the alien sky, Markov received a personal message from Earth, the planet she called home, now a beacon of unity and resilience. Sent words of encouragement and pride. She smiled. Humanity's journey from a solitary ship in the void to a galaxy-changing force was a story still unfolding. The galaxy's darkest nights had been pierced by a single light, a human ship that ended a battle in an instant and sparked a movement that would define generations. Captain Alina Markov knew that peace was a path, not a destination. The road ahead was uncertain, but the Alliance stood ready to walk it together, and as the stars continued to shine, so did the promise of a new dawn.